Cool. All right. Welcome. How's the audio? You give me a little Gyan Mudra if you hear me. Yeah? Okay, cool. Welcome to Magic Hour with Freedom. I'm really excited to share this with everybody. It's been epic magic lately, and whenever there is epic magic, there's an opportunity to get really blown off our center, really confused about everything, and forget that that's actually the makings of a re-identity. So emotional alchemy is the transmutation of emotions to be able to facilitate change within yourself, the beings around you, and the ultimate being of all that is. And so, low key, we're going to explore it today. There is a lot of energy in the ether around retrograde, around all of these things. If you're watching this in the future, I'm sure that these energies have impacted you beyond measure. And I'm really excited to share these tools about plant allyship. So, a few of you I haven't met personally yet, and I just want to share about plant allyship being a movement. Plant allyship is the connection between you and the inner alchemy of all that is. So, plants are carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, and then you are also carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So, plants work within you and for you because you're actually composed of the same thing. You also work for plants and with plants because you're made of the same thing as they are. So there's an enmeshment. There's a really glorious interwoven nature to being a human. And I find plant allyship is the way I'm able to remind myself the most that not only do I have tools to tether myself to everything I'm creating, but I am that tool also. I share a resonance with that tool. So, energy work, magic making is available. Maybe there's some intuition, maybe there's some exploration, but frequency work is actually for everyone. So, plants work with frequency. I'm going to let another queen in here. Frequency is about resonance. And so resonance is something that we're working with today with emotions. So the general resonance of the earth is about 500 hertz. And when we're working with frequency to qualify emotions, to create our alchemy, we're working with the elements and then the facets of ourselves, the facets of our being. So no big deal. You just happen to have the entire bits of the universe within you at all times, and they happen to be accessible. And so it's pretty cool. Today, I want to talk about transmutation and how we can actually create these changes by using the air element in breathwork, especially. So I have here many oils to kind of go through. I want to see where we are on time as we go through this workshop. But I definitely want to work with the emotion of grief that is so present in our culture right now and talk about how change actually happens, what change actually is. So I hope that sounds good. Let me check our waiting room, make sure there's no more queens. I'm so stoked y'all are here. Cool. Let in some more queens. Okay. This is going to be recorded. This is being recorded in present time. So feel free to just rest into the experience of learning this information. Write things down that come to you, but know that you'll have a recording. So you'll be able to just kind of check back and work your facets that way. Okay, so feelings create sensations. They're often synonymous. There's a feeling, there's a sensation, and then that will create an emotion. And the emotion will create an action. That action will facilitate a change, and then that change will create momentum. So energetic emotional alchemy, that's what we're working with. We're working with identifying the initial sensation and then moving with it as it becomes an emotion and then moving with that as it draws us to action, witnessing the action as it creates change, and then the change is the momentum of what we're doing. So in this time of fast moving change, what we're really witnessing is rapid cycle alchemy. Rapid cycle alchemy, so a massive transmutation of how we understand energy within us, around us, because of us. Very, very epic times. So allyship comes in when you want to navigate the energy. If you are able to identify racing thoughts, what you're also identifying is an excess of air element, a high vata content, so much mind. And you can think about this as a metaphor. Okay, I have a huge windy day. What am I going to need to kind of protect myself from all of this excess wind? I'm going to need some kind of covering. Maybe I need to go underground. Maybe I need to take shelter in some way that has a physical barrier. So we could draw a conclusion, okay, excess air, I'm going to need a little bit of earth. And then after I take away that momentum, I might have a temperature change. I might need a little bit of heat. Maybe I need to bring in the fire element. And then, oh, it's getting a little bit too hot. Maybe I need the water element to try to cool this down. So all of ourselves, we're always acting within the elements. The elements are always acting all around us. And it's this grand balancing act. So the best part of all of this is that it's all orchestrated by the divine. The divine has this as a prophecy, but we get to have the body. So even though we have this profound identity, we are divine beings, we are connected to all that is, we also get to apply our everyday body into the ethers, into the combination of all the elements. Ether is all of them together. So did you have any idea that you were that powerful? So often we get sucked into this idea, I have no control. I'm powerless against this. I can do nothing. My emotions run my life. I can't make decisions. This is an example of a lot of air energy. There's a lot of excess air energy because there's so much movement. There's so much momentum. And so grounding into our understanding of the elements that dominate us naturally. So we all come in with a certain combination. It's exclusive to us. It's like a fingerprint. And using allyship, there are certain ones that you'll be drawn to. Certain ones will soothe you in a different way. They might activate another. And that's because of the elemental facet. You might have more air, someone else might have more water. Adding earth to either of those is going to have a different effect. And so we can also apply this to everything we're trying to create with the allies themselves. So, aren't you glad this is recorded? Because there's like so much information. I'm really excited. So, breath work is a way that we can start to navigate understanding of our nervous system. What's my nervous system? Your nervous system is the thing that senses your reality before you understand it. So when we go back to that initial sense, emotion, action, change, momentum, that sense part is your nervous system. So your body has a kind of psychicness. Your body is connected to the frequency of all that is, and this is beyond the definition. This is different than how we understand reality. There's a way to feel first and understand later instead of attempting to understand our feelings. This is a real tipping point for a lot of people working with this idea. And over the course of this event here, I'm hoping that will land as you're actually alchemical. You're actually an alchemist, and so is everyone around you, which means all of you have magic. And you can interweave the magic together to facilitate, to create an environment that you would like to create in. It's very cool. Something that's important with this is neutrality. So in your elemental alchemy, in your working with all of your things, releasing the idea that you need to react to everything. Understanding, feeling into the idea that you get to respond to everything. So the simplest thing we can do is react, have a reaction. Burst of fire, burst of air, earthquake, tidal wave. It's this quick thing. And the response is so much more applicable to facilitating change. When our nervous system is reacting, we're often in this really heightened state. We're hypersensitive and the elements are excessive. When the elements are excessive, we're not able to navigate what's actually happening. They actually pull us into different circumstances. They pull us into a memory of the past, or they catapult us into what might be happening later. So as we get into nervous system response reaction, the power of neutrality, and then your sympathetic, parasympathetic system, tongue twister, you're gonna really feel into these allies and how they can help balance what's going on inside of you. So bookmark that idea. Later, we'll have time for live Q&A, live question answer if you're working with a particular situation and you want a little help navigating. Yeah, so let's start out here just with a little grounding practice so a little bit of that information can sink in. And so there's been this burst of fiery air, enthusiasm, and mind, and then we'll take it down into the earth and the water so that we can start to absorb this information. So let's find a comfortable seat together. And we'll just notice here how different that feels. Let your eyes close so you can turn off the initial eyesight, one sense that we use the most. And with your eyes closed, start to notice your breath. Without trying to change your breath, just start to notice it. And from here, you can invite the arms up and over the head, connect the hands, reach up, and then draw the hands into the heart center. And from here, taking your right hand on your heart and your left hand on your abdomen. Noticing any kind of distraction coming in through your senses. And if it's starting to create an emotion or make you think you have to take an action, we'll invite in this idea change here. Noticing the sensation, naming the emotion, and feeling into whether or not there's a thought created about taking an action because there's some kind of change that's desired. And this natural process that we call thinking is actually alchemy. And so lassoing what we're doing daily, naturally, for our own creative prowess, for our own creating. And taking 3 more full rounds of your breath here. After that third one, start to tap into where gravity is. Recognizing retrograding energies, recognizing what's been happening in your body. And see if you can get a sense of a dominant element that is present today. And see if there's a feeling, a sense that is dominant for today. You'll bookmark that sense, asking your mind to remember what is dominant. And throughout the day, you'll be able to check in with whether or not you'd like to heighten or soften the affect of that element. Recognizing your reality as a combination, as chemistry. Grounding further, we'll move into a box breath practice. And so you can release your hands from your body. So let your arms hang heavy. Noticing what your breath is doing already. Navigating this new awareness of the dominant element. The next time that you breathe in, count your breath to the count of 4. So inhale for 2, for 3, for 4, and then hold your breath for 2, for 3, for 4. Exhale, 2, for 3, for 4. Hold the exhale for 2, for 3, for 4. Your next breath in, counting to 4. Holding at the top of your inhale for 4. Exhaling to the count of 4. And then holding empty for the count of 4. You keep going with your own pacing, imagining you are drawing a box. Breathe in for 4. You pause. You exhale for 4. And you pause. Imagining that you are drawing a box with every count of 4. And calling in this natural stability, balancing act. Just like the 4 elements, 4 sides. Give them all equal measure. We'll breathe like this together for 1 more full minute. I'll keep the time. You just focus on building your box. Noticing if your jaw tightens whenever you're holding your breath in or whenever you're holding your breath out. Today, we are creating a relationship through alchemy that connects you to the everyday magic and the miracle of being. One more full round, make one more big box. And then begin to tuck your chin. Let your eyes blink open, looking down at your body or maybe some things around you. Your next breath in, start to lift your chin, eyes are open, and start to take in what's around you. It's re-arriving. It's noticing if there's a different kind of feeling, if there's a different energy that is dominant now, sitting more with earth and water, sitting more with stability and resurgence. The plant allies that we'll work with today are numerous, but there is a facet here that I definitely want to cover in terms of working with grief. And then I have a little group here that is really relevant for times like these. And then there are some blends over here. So essential oils are pure. They are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, like I was saying before. They're not corrupted. They're pure plant resonance. They are purest and most potent when they're harvested in season and where they grow the best. So though you can grow lavender all over, the best lavender is from Bulgaria. The lavender that has the highest concentration of the constituents of the properties of lavender that you would want to take holistically are from Bulgaria, these massive lavender fields. The earth has different gifts in different regions. And as you explore your allyship, you'll start to learn there are so many clues and contexts to where we get our allies from. So the way that certain flowers grow on the coastal range, the way that they adapt to that salt intake in the air, the way that certain trees have developed root systems to keep them stable in different kinds of weather. Aspens come to mind. Aspens have an interwoven root network. They're all together. And even just thinking about the way that seeds travel and the miracle of DNA. So, yes, these are essential oils and they have a scent to them, but they definitely are more than that. They definitely have a certain kind of elemental magic. And flowers in particular are really powerful for reminding the human about their innate resilience. So the human being has a quality that's different from a lot of things and very similar to the earth body. The human and the earth body share resilience, adaptation, and the ability to evolve with changing circumstances. The earth doesn't have as many opinions as the human does. It's kind of where the human gets caught up, and that's where the earth can come in to help. Navigating when we lose neutrality, When I decide that I have a way that it needs to be, and everything around me is like, no, queen. That's when I need to get my allies out and recalibrate my elemental structure so that the senses that I have make the emotions that I need to create the action that I desire for the change that's happening. It's a really cool 4-part system. There's a lot of 4s in the world. Okay, so our limbic system is the part of our brain that has subconscious property. 90% plus. 90% is like a minimum for most waking humans. 90% of your opinions, your thoughts, your actions are subconscious. These are things that get decided out of your mind's opinion and your brain's ability to create ease. So your brain is an organ and your mind is an idea. But the way that they interact with electricity, with frequency, your mind creates a thought that is born of neuropathological synapse. So it's very deep, it's a big subject. The summary is your limbic system is the translator between those two things. If I have a sense of something in my environment that's dangerous, my limbic system is reacting before I'm consciously aware. My limbic system is starting to produce a little bit of cortisol, maybe, in case I need to run. And this is something that as we start to navigate what's dominant in our environment, we can get really connected to how to remedy our immediate reaction. Because your limbic, that's what it is, it's your reaction. It's not your response. When we can take in a wide lens, everything, and see ourselves at the center, but not the center, we can start to navigate what would need to happen in order for things to stay balanced. Homeostasis is all your body wants, and alchemy is that state. It's an innate state that your body is capable of, homeostasis, balance, but our environments change that. So just like we're born in love and we learn how to be afraid, like we learn what fear is, our body though has the chemistry to produce fear innately. So how we use our chemistry is what the limbic system helps us with. So the limbic system is activated, deactivated in 2.5 seconds. It takes 2.5 seconds to change the state of your actual brain. So not your mind's thought pattern, that's a little bit more in depth, but your physicality, your brain's reaction. When it decides to turn on or off the cortisol, there's a 2.5 second window where it will make a switch. And it does it that quickly because it's designed to help you survive. You got to remember too, especially in these wild times, we are the descendants of the ones that survived. We have in us the resilience required to go forth into new worlds, new environments, new situations, always keeping the application of our emotional alchemy handy. That's the way that we can keep neutrality and live inside of responding instead of reacting. So, your limbic system comes from your scent, and it comes in through the element of air. So when I open a bottle of allies, like this one here is rosemary, I get an immediate physical change of state. It's almost immediate. It's 2.5 seconds. If you have essential oils with you right now, you can just pick one at random. I had a little surprise element with not giving you a clue about what oils we were going to use today, but spoiler alert, there's rosemary. So rosemary is for focus. Rosemary balances the mind. I am using this one a lot for grief. Um, Rosemary is a really sturdy herb. There are other herbs like cilantro that are kind of frail, a little flimsy. Rosemary's got some real grit to it. Rosemary is a protective herb. It's often planted outside of homes with lavender. That's OG plant intuition because both of those plants are really great with the frequency of protection. Being able to clarify our communication, being able to focus and remember. So the same way that rosemary remembers threat in its environment, it can help me to navigate what is a threat and what isn't. And when I'm in these states of grieving a life that I might have had before, a lot of people are in this state of grief right now about what they want to do with their new life. Rosemary really helps to focus on what you actually can do and embody the innate protection of having a strong spine, an upright spine, a backbone, if you will. Rosemary is really good. Peppermint is about buoyancy, buoyancy in the heart, especially. Forgiveness is the way forward through a lot of these messes. It's important to forgive yourself first. If you can't forgive yourself, you can't really forgive other people. You will be triggered into guilt and shame all the time with your brain. It won't even be about what you want to happen. It will naturally occur because there's no buoyancy in your body. There's the mud from too much earth and water. Too much earth and water makes mud. It's excess kapha energy and it's heavy, it's oily. It's really hard to move through. Sticky, you can't really see. It's that feeling. Peppermint is like it's a breath of fresh air. It's about buoyancy in the heart. It's also really cooling. So when you're in a space of heightened temper, trying to navigate your temperature, peppermint is really great on the back of your neck. I love this in water. My queen Miranda, who's on this call, she really turned me on to peppermint in water. I love it. Bottoms of the feet is really solid when you're trying to take the buoyancy from the earth. You put this on your bare feet and then you go stand on some earth. It's really powerful. Vetiver. Vetiver is a root. So trees are really grounding. Roots are even further because you're actually underneath the ground. You're nestled in the embrace of Pachamama. You're like with the earth body. So vetiver I use daily right now on the bottoms of my feet with the ginger, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Ginger is for empowerment. Vetiver is descent, the inner descent. So when we're trying to navigate all of the opinions, all of the everything going on, it's way important, very, very important to stay true to what you know to be solid. So confusion causes disembodiment. Disembodiment is the epidemic of our time, in my opinion. So anything that I can do to embody, to stay connected to my physical self, I will do daily. I have a lot of air energy. I am a triple air sign, and I just have air enthusiasm everywhere. Vetiver helps me to stay true. I use it before I go to sleep. It's a powerful sleep support. Very, very great. You can kind of imagine too, I use it in the morning these days, and I go outside. I put a lot, so your largest pores in your body, fun fact, are in your feet. They're on the soles of your feet. So in terms of topical application, the back of the neck, the pulse points, and the bottoms of your feet, likely intuitive with the pulse points, but the feet sometimes people don't think about. This is really powerful to absorb upwards. So I put a lot on my feet in the morning, and then I go out into the grass after a couple of minutes. I kind of baby them. I let them absorb. Even though these are all essential oils that are pure, are volatile organic compounds. They're VOCs. And these are things that will diffuse into the air. So because they're so small, they're so pure, which means they're so small, they're only the thing. Vetiver is only vetiver. There's no anything else in it. It actually is small enough to go inside of the smallest parts of your body. So it can actually penetrate a cell wall, tiny, tiny cell in your body. Vetiver can be taken internally. I only recommend using doTERRA essential oils. You'll have an opportunity at the end of the call to book a free one-on-one with me if you want to talk about internal usage, because I know that's like, there's like a firestorm on the internet about that. I'm 100% an advocate for it. So vetiver, one drop in a hot beverage is really nice. It's interesting. So this is alchemy. I can talk about the buoyancy of peppermint, like buoyancy, buoyancy, quickly, but then vetiver takes a long time to talk about. Vetiver is like earth, long time. That's an example of how this alchemy is actually hiding everywhere. Geranium. Geranium is a flower. Geranium is special. Geranium was my first essential oil I ever used that was pure like this. Geranium is for grief. It's also for love and for trust. So when we're healing from grief, that's often what's been fractured, that we could trust love, which is the same saying that we could trust life. Geranium is also really detoxifying. It has a lot of properties of detoxification. So you can put it on your liver. It will draw out anger. So the anger emotion lives in our liver. That's why we speak of alcoholism like a raging alcoholic. It's because they have too much anger trapped in their liver and they can't get it out. So geranium is also really potent for that medicine. Geranium on the liver, bottoms of the feet. I take this one internally too. It is a very deep crone wisdom kind of floral. Geranium is not effing around. Not effing around. I used her when I was really out of options for disordered eating patterns. Geranium was really helpful in trusting life again. Powerful time. And wild orange. Wild orange is in my top 5. Everyone should have wild orange. It's about abundance. It's about releasing scarcity. Wild orange is just like a punchy citrus that has, you just can't deny just how uplifted you're suddenly sort of more awake and aware. Citruses are fire elements, so they ignite the attention, they set fire to things. Citruses, so fire is fed by air, right? So if you've got a lot of ideas and they're hot ideas, they're moving fast, you add fire to this, you're going to move into manifest. You're going to take your soothing campfire, and then you might accidentally create a forest fire if you've got too much fire with your air or too much air with your fire, depending on how you look at it. That's why you have these, when there's like a robust, crazy love affair, it's usually like a fire air situation, and it's something to pay attention to when you're attracted to people, romantic or otherwise, how your elemental composition is likely enmeshed in these ways that are so interesting to learn about. Wild orange is necessary for these days. I diffuse this one. That's how I use it the most. I love it in water though. It is like ridiculous. The wild orange peppermint is a great combo. Wild orange and peppermint together is about the regeneration of the buoyancy, like being light in what we're holding on to, less attachment is kind of where these two land. Okay, I see this chat box. I'm gonna pause here. Oh, I love this. Okay. Oh my gosh, yes, menstruation. We will go over that for sure. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure I wasn't missing anything. It's live, but also recorded, so I don't want to make it awkward for the recording people. That's a good transition, Queen, about menstruation. So clary sage is my hands down number one go-to for anything that is hormonal. Clary sage is about the inner vision and clarifying what the inner being is able to see. So when we're going into the alchemy, that's actually the initial felt sense. Sometimes when I'm in this luteal phase and I'm cruising towards menstruation, kind of feels like I'm going insane because all of a sudden I see all this truth and no one seems to see any of it. And I have a lot of reactions about all the truth I see. You and you and you, it's never over here. No, it's never over here. It's always over there. So clary sage, I use a lot for those kind of times where you really got to get clear on whether or not what you're feeling is yours. Because if you're feeling things and they're not yours, they're giving you emotions that aren't yours. They're having you take action that isn't yours. And you're creating change that you don't want. You start to move in the direction that you don't want to go in. You don't have the grounded, authentic sense, though, of what energy is yours and what's not. So allyship for that, clary sage, is really powerful. Yes, that's my recommendation for that. Also lavender, very, very potent. Ginger and vetiver on the bottoms of your feet is really great. That's one of my favorite go-tos for discomfort, just general discomfort. Menstruation, I kind of loop in because it's so absurd. Menstruation is a glorious opportunity to be reminded of how absurd everything is and how magic everything can be, because DNA is profound. To think, people tell me that there's no magic, and I ask them what it means that there was this one cell chilling, and then it split into two, and then it split into four, and then it split into 16, and then it split, and then it split, and then it split, and then there's you. And it's like, help me understand why there's no magic. I need you to help me understand. It's also when you start like baptizing people with the oils, you just like talk, here. Allyship for all. Clary sage is the answer to that question. Okay, so I want to go through some blends real quick and then oils for the times, and then I want to open it up for questions because that's really important. So blends that exist already. So a blend is just a series of oils that are put together. They can be intuitive. I make medicine blends. I have them on my website if you ever want to check out pre-made ones. There are some alchemical ones coming up soon that are going to be beyond. These are already made though. These are ready to go. So Citrus Bliss is the goddess herself. Citrus Bliss is like the Queen of Wands. Just this effervescent charm. Turn any situation around. Walk in the room. You're like, who dat? Citrus Bliss. Queen of Queens. All of the citruses. This is my favorite blend. I have a lot of favorites, but Citrus Bliss is my favorite blend of citruses. And it's all the citruses plus vanilla. When I first smelled this, I was not into it because of the vanilla. I was like, oh, I don't know. But the more I learned about the meaning of the citruses and the more I was able to witness how my own life had shifted, like grapefruit is in here, unconditional honoring of the body. is what grapefruit is about. And coming from disordered eating pattern, and then knowing there's grapefruit in here, and this kind of reminded me of a creamsicle in a good way. But I didn't let myself eat those when I was younger, even though I freaking love them. And I was like, oh, there's like a natural limbic reaction. I'm like, I'm able to witness this like straight up schooling from the universe. I'm just like, wow, okay. It's so honest. The earth is honest. The earth doesn't quake unless necessary, right? Breathe, breathe blend, indispensable, indispensable. Grief, ally, 100%. So we store grief in our lungs. It's why we have choking sobs, can't get enough air, can't get enough movement in our body. It's all water and earth and dense. Breathe is about your respiration and your whole respiratory system. So lungs, all of the little phyla, looks like trees on the inside. Not being able to take a full breath is a sign that there's a limited amount of life force that you have access to. There are also physical ailments that can impact breath, but because this is about the emotional alchemy side, we'll just go with that part. If there's harbored feelings, especially resentment, resentment is the number one dream killer. Queens and kings, resentment will kill your dreams faster than anything else will. It will block forgiveness. It is a dark force, resentment. Breathe is really great for resentment. Aids in the ability to release the emotion that caused the feeling, that made you take the action that got the change that you didn't want, and you're moving in the direction that you don't want to go. Like, that's the pattern. That's what happens. Sense, emotion, action, change. It happens over and over again. But we are so able to stick in the spoke, the situation. Once we take control of our awareness, what element is dominant? Breathe blend. Adaptive. This is a new one. This one came out last year, and I was like, oh, stop. It's so good. So the first three, the main three items in here are copaiba, which is a Brazilian tree. It's full spectrum CBD2, different than CBD1, does not need THC to activate. Lavender, need I say more? And then wild orange, also need I say more? This blend is magic. Stress oxidizes in the body when it's left unattended, like when it's fed by resentment that is constant and not being processed. And that will create, that will make it hard for your body to thrive. I'm thinking of language that's appropriate for the internet. Free radicals will run wild with stress. Free radicals will feed off of stress. And when we go into damaged DNA pattern, when DNA starts to replicate in a damaged way, it's often from stress and the application of stress onto the cellular structure. Our limbic system, our subconscious mind, all of that 90+% that's underneath what's happening is affecting that. Mitosis, the cellular process of mitosis, which is how cells reproduce. Mitosis is when they make other ones, and the rate at which they make other ones, and the rate at which they make ones that you would want. So for example, there are cells that get produced in our body that have damaged DNA, and they can create things like cancer. They can create things like tumors that are not benign. They can also create things like tumors that are benign. Our cellular structure builds itself. Our body builds itself out of elements. It's a separate topic, part 2. Yarrow palm. Yarrow is for the empath. If you are an empath, you should really think about yarrow palm. Yarrow palm is a blend from doTERRA. It's billed as a botanical duo, which it is because it's a duo of botanicals. It's pomegranate and yarrow. It's about the skin in the 3D, but your skin is also your largest organ, and it's a main part of your sensory body. It's touch. Very relevant. I take this internally every day. Yarrow is protective for the energy body. It's really helpful for empaths. Conversely, if you struggle with empathy, if you have a lot of apathy, this is also really powerful because it will ignite the resonance of empathy from the yarrow. The yarrow will remind your energy frequency that empathy is relevant and necessary in order to create compassion, by which you're able to forgive so that you can move beyond resentment and live your destiny, which is a full, thriving, ridiculously epic life. Your destiny is to have joy. It's just true. I can provide evidence in a one-on-one, but it's true. Okay, so we went over clary sage for the oils for the times. This is like if I was just going to make a set for someone to be living right now, these are what I would put in it. And in your follow-up email that you will all get, if you're watching this in the future, and you are curious about this though, just email me, kings and queens. But those of you here or requesting a recording, you'll have this follow-up email that has this basically in a shopping cart already. So you can just take a look at it. So clary sage is the inner visionary. We talked a little bit about her. She's really, it's like that feeling when you just have to go to the desert to be in the expanse, the vastness of the desert, and come into balance with oneself through extremity. So extreme actually can create balance because it's so absurd, it tips the scale. Chaos creates clarity. We also live in a dual universe for now. We're moving into the other thing. The 5D is also right here at the same time. But for most people, the 3D structure of black, white, yes, no, in, out, etc., man, woman, the duality, we understand clarity through chaos and chaos through clarity because we operate in the opposite. I'm feeling sad, I need to be happy. But what happens there is your mind gets it twisted, which is happiness is relevant to what the sadness is. How sad am I? How happy do I want to be? It becomes a spectrum versus working alchemically, working with the elements. You've got water and fire, grief and joy, water and fire. And so, pop quiz, what would you need to work with those? Anybody want to unmute? Yep, water and fire, we got to bring them together. Maybe?
Is it earth?
Is it what?
Earth?
It's air.
It's air. Of course it
Yes.
is.
But you could use earth to get to air because when you have water and fire, you have like such opposing dual energies that the air would come in to unite the two because it affects them equally. Like water would be waves and then fire would be flames, but the air would actually be the body, would be how you would ground it into yourself. So ultimately you would use air next because once you had, earth, you would use earth next because once you had the balanced element, once you had the thing in between, the two things, which is always you. Whenever there's two things, the third thing that happens is you, is the experience that you're having consciously. You would need the earth next to be able to take it in because you're a physical being. So cool. Yes. Thank you for being so brave. I love that. Okay, Ginger. Ginger is about empowerment and empowerment in all ways. Disempowerment is very destabilizing. Disempowerment feeds off of fear, eats fear for breakfast. Disempowerment is afraid of joy. To be disempowered is to be very confused. When people are disempowered, they are not in the frequency of their relevance. There's a lot about disempowerment right now that is a much bigger conversation. There's no, this is very neutral talking about disempowerment. This is more like the emotion of not being empowered, the thing that happens from that. Cedarwood. Cedarwood is about community. Community is the way through because it's the way to unity consciousness, which is what 5D is, which is where we're going. Lavender. Lavender is honestly just necessary. Lavender is about clarity and communication. The best way to use lavender right now is on your throat. On your throat chakra, working with what you want to say and being true when you say something, that you mean it, that you can stand behind it. This is not, the lavender is not the clarity of speech that is typical. Lavender requires a certain dedication to getting to know yourself. Lavender is also soothing and really helpful with feelings of anxiety, racing thoughts, feeling like you've said too much. You can't stop explaining how you feel. That's searching for grounding. When we have so much air, we're just reaching. We need the earth to ground us there. So that's that lavender. Pink peppercorn. Pink peppercorn is a sleeper. Pink peppercorn is one of my favorite essential oils. It is about intrinsic equality, recognizing the human in the being. Pink peppercorn. Cardamom. Cardamom, another sleeper. Cardamom is one of those ones that's in and out my cart all the time. And then when I get it, I'm like, why do I wait so long every time? Cardamom is about objectivity, being objective, being able to be neutral. Neutrality doesn't mean that you don't have a belief or a desired outcome. Neutrality, objectivity doesn't mean that you don't want change in any way, however it stands. It just means that when you are creating the change that you want, you're responding instead of reacting. That you have access to all four elements instead of only one. It's usually fire. People are usually in fire when they're out there doing the thing. They're like trying to make the change. They're in the production. They're only in the masculine, which is not bad. It just might not be where they want to go. They might want to be somewhere else. So this is a lot of really great info. I'm so glad this is going to be recorded for you, that it is recorded for you. We went over today essential oils for grief, essential oils for the times, really the Aquarian age, honestly. And then blends that are really helpful for the alchemy that is happening between the two things, the relevance of both of those kinds of lives that we have right now. Yeah, so I am gonna open it up for questions and comments And then we'll close with one more breath practice. We're going to do a 3-part breath. And then you'll have a follow-up email too with this video and the information on the oils, how to book a one-on-one if you want one to dive into this. And yeah, I'll open the floor.
When are you going to write your book?
Oh my goddess, bless you. I'm working on it. I had a vision of it. Wouldn't that be fun? I love you.
How soon are you gonna publish the recording?
I'm gonna put it up today.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be up today. Today is a day in June.
It is. It's a day. It's the 11th, remember?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's why I did this on 11/11, because it's the 11th. Okay. I'm constantly battling the air element. Yeah. What are you thinking, Queen?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Let me see. I typed it in here. Oh yeah, I'm curious about oils to invoke more water alchemy, water energy, because I'm very earthy and fiery. Lots of fire, a little bit of air, but like no water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. The mints are really good if you want cooling water, like flowing water. And then the flowers are really good if you want to activate the release of water. If you want to draw water up from within. So because I know it's Virgo sun, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and then moon rising. Remind me.
Aries moon, Sagittarius rising.
Yeah, totally. So geranium is going to be really good.
Loving it. Yes.
Yes. The peppermint is going to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'd really vibe high with cilantro.
That's on my next order.
Oh, is it? Perfect. Yeah. Cilantro is about releasing control and opening the floodgates of what's possible with your composition. That would be really fortifying, like nourishing for the inner waters. You also want to work with blood and hydration. So when you're taking your oils, taking them in water is going to be a metaphor, symbolic of how you want to increase that element. You could also make compresses with water. That's cool. I think that you would really like spearmint too. Spearmint has a different attitude than peppermint. It's not as cold, but it's still super watery. Yeah, that's what I would do. Cilantro for sure, though. Cilantro, grapefruit together.
Yeah. Grapefruit in my water right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my
And
favorite.
also baths. Baths with oils are so good for me.
The bath?
A bath with oils, yeah. Geranium
I
in the
can't believe I
bath.
didn't say that. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're liking them. That's so great. You have so many good ones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's an ally for everybody. Yeah. It's cute.
I'm curious about, like, if there was an oil or a couple oils that would be for integrating all of the elements. Like, say that, like, for myself, I'm pretty equal in all of them, but yet I find I'm constantly cycling through them and like searching for that like ether point, or like it's weird, like, yeah, but I feel like that's what I want to ask, like what would be an integration for all of them?
Yeah, so I would use one of every element in a blend to integrate them, and or Melissa. Melissa is like a really powerful one. I think that's on your next order, which is really exciting.
It's in the mail. It's coming.
Yes. Yeah. So Melissa, to use that, what you want to do, you take your bottle, it'll be a little 5 ml, open it, and then thumb on the top. You just turn it over and turn it back over. So you'll get about a half a drop on your thumb. And then you put your thumb on the roof of your mouth, like as if you breathe in, you have it on the roof of your mouth, and it's like the essence of the light body. Melissa is the oil of light. Goes into the pituitary, goes into the HP axis, and helps to open your crown chakra. It's a really uplifted, but it comes from the head up. And then the other oils will work with the rest of the elements in your body. For you, I would say Melissa, myrrh, ginger, and Roman chamomile. Melissa, myrrh, ginger, Roman chamomile.
Thank you. I love that.
Yeah.
I've really also loved the frankincense in that same way that you told me.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like Sagittarius and frankincense just goes together.
Oh, yeah. Destiny.
Needs it. Yeah.
Carissa's like, yes, queen.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a real magic to frankincense. Frankincense is the oil of truth, capital T truth. Because there's all these little t truths. Like we make up little t truths all the time. And we use them to scaffold our life. And that is why sometimes we realize our life is built on lies. Our life is built on unstable ground because the scaffold isn't divine. It's not connected to a balanced point. It's not connected to the balance point. It's interwoven with our opinions. And our opinions change. Like we change. So because we change, it's really important to stay connected to the alchemy of every day. I see this chat box lighting up, so I'm going to check it.
Nurse shouting out frankincense.
Yeah.
Question. Wait, why is it echoing? I don't know
You
why.
sound good.
What? Is this better?
Yes.
Okay. So I have a question about if you are trying to establish stability in a relationship with another person, what would a good shared oil be?
Oh my God. Vetiver. 100% vetiver.
Okay.
Yeah, vetiver for sure, because it's connecting you to the roots that are underneath what's happening. And it's allowing for this enmeshment, and in a good way, good enmeshment, interdependence. So relationships, ideally, we want interdependence and not codependence. We want to be able to experience our feelings. So we have our emotions. So we take our actions. We have our change. We have our momentum. Ideally, those two entities, if they're owning their energy, they'll be able to go side by side. They'll be able to keep going. Of course, interweaving. Like, of course, it's not impenetrable. But like, let's say the two people are navigating their tempers. The balance point is that people keep losing their bananas on each other. And so what you'd want to do is choose allies that create a grounded sense of identity. Frankincense would be great for that, or vetiver. And you'd want to create something that was about trust. Maybe you add some geranium in there. Vetiver geranium is really good. It's deep. It's a heavy combo. You might want to add a citrus to lighten it, to kind of keep it light. So you're navigating the excessive fire element with a little bit of water and a little bit of earth, so that you can put out this fire that's all over the land, the landscape of your relationship. There's a story that we all have about who and what and how and where and why we're supposed to be. And then there's what is written in the alchemy of being. in the miracle of your existence. Looking at relationships in the elemental properties and then choosing oils that will balance both people's best and worst qualities, quote unquote. That's a really good way to use the oils for relationships too.
Thank you.
Yes, queen. Yeah. All right, I think one more question if someone's got one, and then we can do this 3-part breath to close us out all lit. Okay. Oh, nope, grabbing water. Okay, so one thing, one more thing I'll say is ylang ylang. Real good. Ylang ylang brings in the playfulness, brings in the childlike, not childish, that's different, childlike quality of curiosity, very important. Stay curious about what the emotions are, because when we're not curious, we go right into reaction. And when we are curious, we can have a response like, oh, interesting. I have a lot of anger around this thing that's happening, instead of like, fuck, I'm so mad, and you just, all of a sudden, now there's damage. Now there's all these elements everywhere. You have to like sweep up and fix, and it's like, everyone's upset. You can't prevent it all the time, of course. There is the human and the being, but it's worthy of our attention to see if we can pinpoint an element or two that are getting Riley in the corner. It's a little extra water over there. Maybe dry it out, it might get moldy, right? Stagnant. It's interesting. Okay, so 3-part breath. Very activating. We will do this breath for about a minute. A 3-part breath is really helpful when you need to let go of something, move some energy. So the breath work practices today, the box breath and I think I hear the mailman. We might get retrograded with a weird random sound. The box breath is really good for soothing your nervous system when it's too active, and then when it's not super active, like I want to do it with you right now so that we can like, okay, I learned all these things, I'm gonna like lift myself up and move. I'm gonna go on with my day with this new understanding. So box breath, no, not box breath, 3-part breath. Gonna come into a seated position. And this breath, I'll show you what it is first. So it's just out of the mouth. When we breathe out of our mouth, it can be confronting. People sometimes report this is confronting feeling. And it's because you're actually activating a lot of the fire air element. So sometimes that fire is kind of going and moving out, moving around. Yes, so we want to navigate that. If you start to get too activated or too hot, what you can do is slow down, bring in the earth, or if you've got any wood or floral oil nearby, you can use that. For this breath, if you happen to have an oil nearby, you can use it. I'm gonna do breathe. If anybody has breathe, I'm gonna do breathe for this. Whatever oil you feel called to though, because now you kind of have an understanding, what element am I feeling active with? So our earlier meditation vibe, I was noticing a lot of like busyness in my mind. Like I was so excited about this workshop and I'm doing a really cool thing this weekend that I'm excited about, and I was just noticing, okay, I'm gonna need to release this. Big exhales. And so place it on your hands, just cover your face, breathe it in. Just noticing that change of state. And then just breathing through your mouth here. So I'll show you what it looks like. Mouth is open. It's 2 inhales and 1 exhale. So it sounds like this. It's a pretty sharp breath in and then quick breath out. It's not like breath of fire where you're kind of pumping your abdomen. This is mostly just lungs, 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 lungs. That's how I think about it. And if you would like to add in a mantra, I like to use the mantra, I release resistance. Because anytime we work with the jaw, we're working with old held patterns. So if your mouth is open when you're breathing, you've got this opportunity to move old energy. So when you're doing it, it's not timed breath to word, but inhale, inhale, exhales, I release resistance. I release resistance. And so we can try it there. Yeah. Close your eyes. Take a couple little doses of your oil if you've got it on your hands. Just breathing into the properties, the alchemy of the oil itself. And then releasing the arms by the sides. We'll do this breath for, let's do it 30 seconds actually. So I'll cue you to start in just a moment here. And then we'll end together. You can always practice in addition today. It's a great practice. I do it every day. Okay, so mouth is open. When you're ready, 2 breaths in, 1 breath out, and we'll start together. Sorry, one more. And then you stop, take a full breath in. Hold it at the top. And then exhale. Let your eyes blink open. Just notice how you feel. A little active, a little change of state. Yeah. When you practice that practice, you can do it for any length of time. I practice it for 11 minutes, which might seem like 15 years when you first get started doing it, but it's a really cool practice. It's great for the morning time. It's a little activating, maybe not for the evening. And you can pause at any point and swallow or wet your lips. You don't have to keep going. You can laugh like I do sometimes. Yeah, it was such a joy to be with you. I'm going to stop recording here.